relationships, trauma, philosophy, relationships, trauma, philosophy. Balls deep.
What's in the box? What's the reference, Scott?
I know this reference. I want to say Seven Psychopaths, but I don't think... Have I got that right?
No, you're along the right lines, though.
I know. I actually do know this film. It's with the DiCaprio.
No.
Oh, fucking hell. Is it not?
No.
At the end, and he's they're near the pylons, and I can picture the scene. I swear that's DiCaprio.
It's not
it?
DiCaprio, though.
Isn't it DiCaprio and too many goddamn snakes on this plane?
No, it's not him either.
Oh, right. All right, I don't know.
It is a white man and a black man. So I suppose you're along the right lines.
Bloody hell, that's another thing cancel me for. Fuck. I do know this film. I know I have seen this film. I know I've seen this film. I've just not got the best of memory.
Okay, well, shall I enlighten you?
Yes.
It's called Seven.
Okay, yeah. Oh, is it when they're two police detectives?
Yes.
And it's all about the number 7. It's a bit demonic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's about the 7 deadly sins. So the film, the entire plot is there's a serial killer, and he kills people based on the 7 deadly sins. So, like, he kills someone for being vain, he kills someone for being greedy, and so on. And spoiler alert. Okay, stop this. You've seen the film, right?
I have, yeah.
Can you remember what is in the box without saying it?
No.
Maybe we need to watch it then. I don't know if I should spoil it for you.
I've not...
Do you know what? I'm not even going to spoil it because I don't want to spoil it for the listener.
No. Yeah. Well, we can put spoilers coming up.
So maybe spoilers coming up, but I feel like I don't want to say it because I want you to watch the film now.
Well, the funny thing is I have watched the film.
I know, but it's a banging film. It is great. So I think, do you know what? Let's watch it tonight.
Okay, we'll watch it tonight.
Okay, so I'm not going to say what is in the box.
Okay.
What I will say is it is something shocking, and it's a real plot twist. But the reason you might, dear listener, be wondering why on earth I'm talking, they're probably wondering why we're talking about this. Why are we talking about 7, Scott?
Because we're on the unlucky number 7, which isn't usually the unlucky number 13, but in the podcast world,
Unless you're Taylor Swift,
which is 13 is her lucky number. And just so you know, if you don't know already, she's dropped 2 albums, so go listen to them now. Stop this podcast and listen to them and tell us all the Easter eggs that you've learned.
Yeah.
I know them all. I'm not a Taylor fan. I'm not I can have some Swiftie songs, but yeah. If you have a Swiftie friend, then you already know all these tags and you already know that it's come out. So, yes. But if you don't, go see it.
Go listen to it.
But don't get a Swiftie friend.
Yeah,
They're lovely, but they're going to tell you about Taylor Swift before, well, all the time. But
like just now when I interrupted you talking about the number 7.
Exactly, yeah. But the number 7 is, in the podcast world, is unlucky because it's when the most podcasts stop. So if you type, when you find this podcast called Balls Deep, there is a couple of, there's actually quite a few, there's about 5 or 6 podcast shows that are also called Balls Deep. And if you go into them, none of them are happening anymore. And some of them have I think over 100 episodes. And then some have 20. But none of them are going anymore. So that just shows you that a lot of podcasts do finish. Most of them finish on episode 7. Theirs got a little bit further. But so I believe Shelby's... My part in the podcast role of Balls Deep is to format and structure episodes, but Shelby's completely taken over this episode, which I'm over the moon with, actually, because we were in a bit of a rush. So I think we're going to be sort of focusing on the number 7.
We are. And to preface this by saying there is minimal planning going into it. So,
but we've learned, I know for the listeners that might not sound good, but we have learned, because I'm an over planner,
And I'm a let's just do it spontaneously.
You do like planning, but you do you'll be more spontaneous.
I like a broad idea rather than
I get
point.
Probably a bit too detailed. But we have learned the episodes that we have done, which has been the last few. We've had less structure, and they've gone much better.
Yeah.
And I felt we've had more of a discussion versus just speaking to an audience.
Yeah.
Which I feel is way more engaging, because it opens up, you want to hear a discussion, you don't want to just be talked at, because then you're in a lecture.
Yeah.
That's not what podcasts are for. So it's worked out for us. So actually, don't worry, less structure we found has worked well.
Okay, well, good. That is very good to hear. So, as this is the ubiquitous, I'm going to go with the word ubiquitous, and I'm actually going to Google that I've got that correct. Ubiquitous. Yes, present, appearing, or found everywhere. I would say that the number 7 is ubiquitous because it appears all over the place, doesn't it, Scott?
I guess so.
It pops up. So, for example, it's considered lucky. The lucky number 7 is considered in many places, isn't it? Lucky number 7.
Is it?
Yeah, have you not heard this before? Lucky number 7.
No.
Yeah, 7 is considered to be lucky in many countries and cultures.
Oh.
Unlike the number 4, which we found out in Chinese
not
culture.
lucky in Chinese culture. So where's number 7 lucky? I've not heard someone say, "Oh, lucky number 7."
Well, I'd asked ChatGPT, but ChatGPT just told me that the sun and moon were planets, so I don't really want to ask ChatGPT.
Right. Okay.
I'm not too sure. I guess we could find that out throughout this podcast. But for example, there are 7 days in the week.
There are, yes.
There are 7 colours in the rainbow.
Right.
So red and yellow and pink and green, orange and purple and blue. 7.
7.
So that appears. Snow White's 7 dwarfs.
Yeah. Well
For
done.
example, she didn't have 8 of them.
No, she did not. Can you
She
name
could have.
them all?
Oh, can I name them all? Dopey, Grumpy, Sleepy,
Yeah, there's a.
Yeah.
I think dozy or sleepy. Yeah.
Bashful,
Well done. I would have got that one.
Doc,
Doc, which was
the one with glasses,
that? Okay.
Sneezy.
Have we done clumsy?
There is a clumsy.
Oh, I think I'm a. Is there not a clumsy?
There's dopey. Yeah, so we've had Dopey.
Yeah.
There's one more that I'm not. Happy.
Happy.
I think that's all of them. Yeah, I think that's all.
that's
Oh, wait,
all
it says it right here in my notes.
Oh, right. But she wasn't looking. I can attest to her not looking.
So Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey. High five.
Well done.
Yes, that was a rubbish high five.
Well,
we
it
don't
was,
want
but
to
yeah,
in the
well
listener.
done.
Yes, so as we were saying about the film 7, which is, if you have not seen 7, it is, I would say, do you know, I'm going to put it in my top 5 films ever.
It's my number 1.
Is it? I'm the 8th dwarf, gullible. It's a really good film. It's outstanding, actually. It is. It's just such a. It's a great plot. It's really well made. Fantastic actors in it. It's Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Just to.
Oh, Brad Pitt, of course. Yeah.
I think. Let me.
No, I think you've nailed that actually. Morgan Freeman, yeah. It was definitely Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
I can see it now. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Kevin Spacey.
uh-oh. And Gwyneth Paltrow.
Questionable. Yeah, Brad Pitt. To your left there.
Cool. Peter Crombie doesn't look too clever on that picture.
No, he does not.
But as we were saying, it's based off the 7 deadly sins. Can you name the 7 deadly sins, Scott?
Envy.
Yeah.
7 deadly sins. Envy. Adultery. It's adultery.
No, that's one of the 10 commandments there.
One of the 10 commandments.
To not do it, to be clear, not to do it.
Yeah. The 7 sins. Oh my god. I'm not very good at this. I don't know. So what have I said?
What have I said? Forgetfulness. That's
Forgetfulness. Well, I don't think it's fair. I've not seen. No, I have seen the film, but I don't remember it. No, the seven.
The Seven Deadly Sins far predate the film. Far predates it.
Thou shalt not be naughty.
No, it's not commandments. Separate to the commandments.
Right.
So envy is one of them. It's like one word answers. And there are 7 of them. I've told you 2 of them, like about the film earlier. Not sure.
No, I don't know.
Okay, well I will tell you. Well, in fact, let me see if I can get them without looking.
Okay.
So envy, vanity, greed, wrath, gluttony.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to get the other ones.
What does wrath mean?
Anger. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say anger. Oh.
So it's pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. Oh, I'm really guilty of that one.
Sloth. What's
Being
that?
lazy. Yeah.
And gluttony.
Overeating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you can be gluttonous in other ways, I think, but there's a great song, unrelated, by a band called Jellyfish, called Glutton of Sympathy. Oh, it's great. Great song, listen to that, Scott. I'll show you it later.
Yeah, we'll listen to it later.
Great 90s band. Pretty random, but yeah. So there's the 7 deadly sins. Would you say, which of the 7 deadly sins do you think you are guilty of? So they're just here.
Right, let's see. Envy.
Interesting.
Pride.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably envy, pride. I can be lazy at times, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm lazy.
You're definitely not sloth.
Yeah. I don't want to say greed. You know, I think you could relate that to travelling a bit. I have a greed for wanting to see everything you can, on our list. So whenever we go to places, it's always that determination to see everything. But at the end of the day, we've learned when you do, even if you do achieve everything, you really don't end up enjoying all of them, because it means that you're just running around everywhere, not eating, not sleeping. It's a bit uncomfortable. So, but I can get quite irritated by not achieving them. I think it's just that whole perfectionism, but I think greed leans into, so I think greed there. But I'd say more probably envy and pride. I think I've got.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was greed, personally, but I can see why you would attribute it to that.
I don't want, and envy and pride. I'd say those happen. I think my ego can be checked. I'm not, I'm not a dick. I'm not a dick to anyone, but I think I've noticed my ego appear at times, probably more than I would like. And envy, I think I can be envious of people, which is probably a bit of the pride thing, really. So, yeah. What about you?
Well, yeah, I guess those two are tied together, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think for me, sloth and... I don't know, like, part of me wants to say gluttony, but then I don't think I am that bad. I get hangry. So I don't know if that's gluttony, but I don't think I overeat. I don't think I'm like...
No, you don't. And when you get hungry, it's because you haven't eaten all day.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. You don't just eat, like, you'll have snacks. I mean, I have more snacks than you. If we're having a chill day, I'm having 4 chocolate bars, you're having 1 or 2. Yeah, I don't think you've, yeah.
So I think mostly sloth, and are there any others? Maybe wrath when I am hungry.
Yeah.
No, I'm not an angry
That
person.
again, that's
just hungry.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sloth is definitely my main one because I'm pretty lazy at times. Not all the time, but that's that's the one that I would say that I connect with the most. Something interesting when I was putting this list together of 7 things to do with the number 7. ChatGPT has really let me down Like, normally it's a go-to for, you think of it as a reliable source of information that can tell you, all kinds of things. But like it said to me, the Great Wall of China is over 7 kilometres long. Now, is it 7,001 kilometres or is it 20,000 kilometres? Because that would still also be true and unrelated to the number 7. Do you know? And it says that the average human gestation period, do you know what that is, Scott?
Oh, I'm going to look really dumb
No.
on this podcast episode.
No, you don't. I have to research these things in advance.
Gestation. I feel like I saw this word as well on Spotify, funnily enough. Gestation. It does sound like it's something to do with a period.
Well, let me tell you what ChatGPT says, and let me tell you what the actual truth is, and then you can. So it says here, the average human gestation period is around 280 days, which is close to 7 months. That's incorrect
7
because
months?
the average human gestation period is 9 months.
And this happens every year?
No. Well, technically, yes.
Oh, goodness. Gestation. It's like shedding your skin or something.
You're not far off.
You're not far off.
Well,
It's something that your body is doing, but
Yeah.
gestation. No, I'm not sure.
I am going to verify this before, but I'm pretty sure it's like pregnancy. Gestation.
It's pregnancy. I thought it was for everyone.
Yeah, so gestation period is the development during the carrying of an embryo. But yeah, so it's not, so ChatGPT is like, oh, it's about 7 months. No, it's not, it's about 9 months. Well, it is 9 months, exactly. So yeah, it's just incorrect. And then it also told me that there were, as I said earlier, seven celestial planets, which it listed as Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun and the Moon. And so I said to ChatGPT, what about the Sun and the Moon aren't planets? And it's like, oh yes, I do apologise. Thank you for pointing that out. And I was like, also, what about Earth? And it's like, oh yes, of course. Thank you for pointing that out. And then it was like, okay, so yes, it does include Earth. There are 7 celestial bodies, including Earth and the Moon and the Sun. And then, but the list that it gave me was 8. I was like, that's 8. And then ChatGPT was like, thank you for bearing with me and correcting me. I'm like,
Wow.
are you okay, hon?
It's a bit worrying, really, because it is such a new technology. I would recommend doing that just because your top mic.
Baby, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but it's just going to rub against your top.
Okay, well, what should I
You
do?
can just... It twists.
Okay, brilliant.
Just sorting out mic problem. ChatGPT, we shouldn't really believe everything because it's such a new technology, isn't it?
Nothing.
But I have quite quickly gotten to the point where I just trust it for everything. Like, I use it for all sorts, I use it so much in my day-to-day work. It's just so useful in marketing, especially like building podcasts and
it's great for ideas.
NPS scores and stuff like this. You just throw it all in, like it's just can quickly do calculations and it's just great. For titles, YouTube titles, post improving copy. It's great. But you saying that, it's a bit worrying, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not the first time as well. Like I've made suggestions to it before, and so
be careful with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Maybe try something else. I've heard of one called Claude AI, which apparently has had even more data.
Oh.
So ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken, has had, I think it's something like I think it's £1 million worth of data, and then the ChatGPT Plus is like £10 million worth of data.
How are they quantifying that?
I don't know. I've got that. I know it's million and 10 million. I don't think it's lines. I think it's like £1 million worth of data. And then Claude AI apparently has even more than that. So try out Claude AI. I haven't tried it too much. It's annoying because I don't think it's an app thing. It's just online. When I tried it, I could only find it online. But there are other ones out there. ChatGPT isn't the one and only, even though it's doing very well.
Well, the first one I tried was I think it's called Bard. It's a Google one.
Yeah, it wasn't very good though, was it?
I can't really remember, to be honest.
We did. You got the beta version of it, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, like I got like an early access to try it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't really remember, to be honest, but I just quickly
alright.
transferred to ChatGPT because...
Yeah, it's just so user-friendly, ChatGPT. They're doing well, but there'll easily be other ones that'll come up, and, you know, ChatGPT might be winning now, but it could be totally different in a year's time. So, at the end, it's just whoever's AI is better, you know? You know, whoever's AI is better. So let's see. But yeah, it's very useful.
It is.
Just be careful.
Yes.
Especially if you're cheating on your exams, be careful.
Oh, yeah, don't even get me started on that. It's just ridiculous. Like, excuse me. Yeah, it bugs me that because it's kind of put things in a really difficult position now where if something sounds really good, like as a teacher, I hate that then I would question that. You know, like even, you know, when I was teaching recently, I'd get pieces of homework and I was like, is this AI? Because that sounds really clever. And then I'm having to, and this is like, I hate this, but because then I would never accuse a student of it. And it, you know, the stakes were very low on this. It was homework that was due in, and basically they won a lollipop or whatever it was for the best homework. It was very low stakes. But then, you know, I'm looking at what student it is, looking at their like projected scores and being like, you know, are they, you know, a top achieving student that is likely to have produced this piece of work versus a student who might be on the lower end of, and I hate this word, like lower ability, but that's what it's referred to as, you know, who's more, you know, if it was one of the students who had the lowest predicted grades, then, you know, I'd automatically be thinking, oh, they've probably used AI to create this piece of work, whereas hopefully they wouldn't have, and then that's a really, yeah, just I think it's quite a toxic thing, like AI in education, and yeah, I don't know, it just makes me sad because if a student produces an exceptional piece of work that is uncharacteristic, like out of character for them, then your automatic guess would be that that is the case, whereas maybe it's not, maybe it's just that they've decided to assert themselves because it's a particular topic they're interested in.
Well, at the moment it's just impossible to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, until there's other tech that can detect that. I don't know how it will do that, but you just got to do your best, isn't it? And I think that's probably the best metric, is how you've always done it through. Has this, you know, they're always a grade C and all of a sudden this is a grade A.
Yeah.
That's an alarm bell.
Yeah, I suppose it's just the same as like copying off the mate, isn't it? Like if they've suddenly, like, who's helped them produce this piece of work, if...
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But they're going to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super hard, isn't it? I mean, a good thing with exams is they're hot on getting all your devices off you and stuff. So that'd be pretty tough.
Yeah.
You have to do it the old school way and write it on your arms and your legs.
Yeah.
I had a friend who did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wrote it on all the inside of his leg and then would go to the toilet and look at all the calculations.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it worked out for him.
Well, you know what? He deserves it because that's a clever thing to do.
Yeah. The most funny exam I've been part of, though, is an open book exam, which I just find these hilarious. It was in university as well. And you're just allowed to take your textbook, which is full of all the calculations that you're going to do. And you're allowed to write in it pre-exam. So everything that we had studied, it was a stats lesson, so it was all calculations, exam. So I just wrote a ton of like examples of the calculations out, you know, using the textbook. So I just had all my answers. You know, it didn't matter what the question was because I did, you know, some of these calculations were 2 pages long, you know, so I just did an example question and I would just write it all down the calculation. And then all I did is I just followed the method. So it was really easy and I got a really high grade for it. I got like first.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so, you know, I've just found that, because I was pretty much just copying it. Like, I go, great, yep, got that calculation ready, right, that's how I do it, okay, that number there. You know, it's not hard to then divide and times things, you know.
No, but it's still like, I think open textbook's always going to be easier than closed textbook. Oh, God, but I can,
massively.
At the end of the day, if I went into that exam with your textbook, I wouldn't have a clue what to do because I hadn't studied it. So I think, you're still demonstrating your learning and that you've understood it. Like if you'd never showed up to any of your lectures and you just rocked up with your...
That's correct, because you were not fooling these calculations. They were I mean, for me, who didn't take maths, advanced maths, I didn't. Yeah, it's funny because I did a foundation year at uni and I didn't even know it had maths in it. And then there was a business stats class. Like, okay, not really my thing, but I'll do it. And then when we were doing calculations 2 pages long, I was like, oh my god, my calculations haven't gone more than 1 line.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez Louise. So that was proper hard for me. I did have to get it. Yeah, there's no way you could just show me a 2-page calculation and me understood it. Yeah, I would not have a clue. Yeah, so you're right. So go me.
Yes, go you. Absolutely go you. Well done. We recently had an interesting, going back to AI, an experience that I thought was going to be AI but wasn't, and that's the robot cafe.
That was fun.
It was.
Yeah, Japan's full of them. Well, there's not loads, but there's some, which of course we want to check out, interesting things in Japan. And we're in Tokyo now, and it was pretty cool, wasn't it? Because there's different type of ones, but anyway, it's a cafe, and it's what you expect. You can visualize it without seeing it. It is robots serving you. They're bringing you your coffee, your drink, your food.
Serving you as you enter, telling you where to sit.
Yeah, they're speaking to you when you go in. Yeah, they're the receptionist. There's even there's a different type of robot on the bar that's actually making coffee. So there's different type of robots. There's ones that wheel about to serve you your food and drinks. There's other ones that actually are making your drinks. Then there's other ones on your table that are like tiny ones that are really cute that speak to you as you're there, which is a really nice touch because you can just have a conversation with them and they just chat to you. It's just part of it's just a nice thing they had on this. But there was an interesting for this particular one. There was an interesting difference.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, it wasn't AI robots, which we didn't realise upon entering. Oh, I didn't realise anyway.
No, I didn't know either, no.
They called them pilots. And these robots were operated by individuals in Japan and spread widely, not just in Tokyo, who had, to varying degrees, different disabilities that meant that they were unable to leave their homes in many cases. So, there were people with motor neuron disease, people with physical disabilities that were controlling these robots from their homes from iPads. And so you'd have a conversation with them, and each of the mini robots that Scott was talking about that you mentioned about the smaller ones that would chat with you, they each had an iPad, and they would display information on the iPad about who it is that you're speaking to, and that's totally controlled by this person. And they all spoke amazing English, like every single one that we spoke to. And what I find so funny in Japan is everyone is so apologetic about their English.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't speak any Japanese. We're so grateful that they are making the effort to speak our language. But yeah, we spoke to lots of people. And it they'll put on their iPad information about them, their disability, where they live, their interests. So like you were saying about the one making coffee, so there's like a huge robot behind the bar that was operated by an actual barista. So she, before she, I can't remember her exact disability, I think it was either M&D or MS. MS.
Yeah.
So she was a barista in a coffee house until she developed weakness in her arms, and this now allows her to continue doing what she loves, which is she's really passionate about coffee and meeting people. And so she did a demonstration operating the robot. Someone a human that was in the cafe chose which type of coffee they wanted her to make, and she operated a cafetiere, a French press.
You had to be delicate.
Yeah, these were very, picking up a kettle and everything, pouring the hot water in it. So really impressive. And you know, all the time she was talking about what she was doing, explaining the different steps of the coffee, talked about the origins of the beans and like what the different flavors, the flavor profiles were. So that was really special. And then, you know, we got to drink a coffee made by a human operating a robot remotely from somewhere outside of Tokyo, I think she was. And then later we sat at the bar, and the same woman who was operating the giant coffee robot joined us on one of the small robots and chatted to us for a good while, which was really nice. And it was just lovely to be able to speak to people, and yeah, it was just a really special experience. I loved that cafe so much.
Yeah, it was a nice touch that they did that, and I think we've noticed that quite a bit around Japan. They've made an effort to include everyone rather than just saying, well, if you're not fit enough, then tough. You know, it might seem like small, but even the Braille Trail,
Yeah.
like that's everywhere.
It
They
is.
don't miss a path.
Yeah.
And like I'm surprised by that. Like all around, you know, not just Tokyo, just all around Japan we've been. I don't think there's been one pavement, you know, that hasn't had a Braille Trail on.
It's probably worth explaining what it is.
Well, yeah. So a Braille Trail is, you know, if you're on a pavement, usually in the middle of it, there will be, you know, sort of 3 or 4 lines. It's usually like a dull yellow colour, and it's sort of what's the word?
Like it's got lines, hasn't it? Oh, it's like raised bits.
It's raised bits, so you'd feel it, the difference on your feet. If you were to, you know, put your feet on a pavement, first that you're gonna feel a bit of, you know, the raised parts of it. So
it's like textured slabs, isn't it?
yeah, like textured off sort of dull yellow slabs. So they have that everywhere. And then when you hit, you know, traffic lights, it changes to textured, not balls, dots. So then you know, okay, this is where I should stop.
It's like spots and stripes, and that's probably
spots and
about it,
stripes. So it's just like that touch. The fact that they've designed this, and you know, it's inclusive of people with disability. You know, it's amazing. And there'll be other things that I'm not thinking about right now. But they've made more of an effort in Japan for sure to be more inclusive of everyone, which is a nice touch, and you know, something I think UK could improve upon.
Definitely. Because that's something that, I mean, they have it in Australia as well. That's the first place that I ever saw it. So it would be nice if they would. I mean, unless we have got something if we have got something similar, it's not noticeable.
We have got the Braille Trail, but I don't think it's as everywhere as that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, Japan is just it's so lovely. Like, wholesome is the way that I would like, if I had to summarise Japan in one word, it would be wholesome, because everyone is just so lovely. And yeah, like you say, inclusive, like that'd be another word to describe it, inclusive of everyone. And you know, they want you to have a good time, they want everyone to be happy and comfortable, and just every detail is thought of.
Yeah, literally every speck is thought of.
Which we learned that it's got the most, what has it got the most of? Vending machines.
Vending machines.
Yeah, per capita the most. Did we say that earlier?
Not in the podcast.
Right.
We were saying it on the vlog we were doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because what did we get, Scott?
We bought some sriracha.
There's a whole sriracha vending machine.
There was, yeah. It's usually just drinks, but there was a whole sriracha one.
Yeah. And they've got such a good vending machine game.
Well, it's great, and even the coffee in it is warm. So
Yeah.
it's like bottled, you know, just bottled coffee, and it was red hot.
I'm going to say it wasn't just warm, was it? It was like too hot to hold, basically.
Yeah, so they're legit, they're great, and it's, again, the cost of food and drinks is really reasonable. So yeah, Japan is, you know, very welcoming. You know, it's a great place.
It is indeed. Okay, well, how about an interesting observation that I've made?
Okay.
So, we've mentioned before about the size of condoms in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And that they were unacceptable.
They were.
For my darling's manhood. And then we got our favourite condoms here in Japan, which is great. And we also have, for the first time in our travels in Asia, got decent bananas in Japan. So in Indonesia, they were quite small and not great. And in Japan, they are of a size and taste and texture that we are familiar with and like. And I'm wondering if there's a correlation there.
I wasn't listening at all.
I wasn't listening to a word I said.
No, I wasn't.
Do you think there's a correlation between finally finding condoms that we are familiar with and also finding bananas that we are familiar with?
Yes, I do, yeah. Because the bananas have not been good, which shocks me. I thought they'd have really fresh bananas, but they've just been weird.
Yeah.
They've either gone mouldy really quick, or they've been just the shape of them is odd.
Yeah, like Thailand ones were well weird,
Yeah,
especially
well
like
weird.
the ping pong show ones that she was shooting out of a lady
God.
bits. They were like, I don't know how you describe like the shape.
Oh.
I really don't know how you describe the shape of them and the size, but they were, they looked like fat thumbs.
Oh God.
That's how I would describe them.
Yeah, and a note on that. You know, as a teenager, I always like sort of thought that'd be like a wild thing to do. Go to a ping pong show. You know, I thought, it'd be crazy, it'd be funny as hell, it'd be a crazy experience. But it's just a bit grim. Like, I think maybe if you're still, you know, in your 18s, early 20s, you're probably going to have a funny time. But it is just, if you're okay with the seediness of strip clubs at home, then you'll be fine. But for me, you know, strip clubs, I've never not come out of a strip club. I've not felt like a bit sad in myself.
Yeah.
Like, just like, oh, I just want to go home now.
It's just like an unclean feeling.
Yeah, and like, I've never come out of a strip club and been like buzzing. You go in buzzing and you come out sad.
Oh.
Like every time, you know, I'm not a frequent goer, but you know, boys will be boys, and you know they go out with lads, and it'll happen. But you know, I just So if you can get over that seedy feeling, that sort of sad feeling after, if you don't get that, then you'll probably have a great time. But for me, that was sort of 10x because of what it is.
Yeah, because it's not just nakedness, is it? It's
No,
like
it's
literally
just
shooting ping pongs out of fanny.
Yeah, and it's just quite tacky and cheap. Like, it is just like, you know, it's not a well-run production. Like,
I just smell of vaginas.
it does smell of vaginas. You know, it's just, you know, yeah.
And they wanted tips.
Yeah, they wanted tips for everything. It was just, it's basically, yeah. It's exactly what you'd expect, really. So, if you're in, you know, getting to your late 20s and you like a bit of culture when you're travelling, I don't think you're really going to enjoy it that much. On paper, you're going to be like, yes, let's do it. And I was the exact same, because, like, it'd be hilarious, it'd be a crazy story. To be honest,
Yeah.
it sounds a lot crazier than what it is. It's pretty tame. And
Yeah.
it's just a bit like,
Yeah, I really thought we were going to go and be like, oh my God. Like, I don't know, I thought we were going to be gobsmacked by what we saw.
Yeah.
But it was just more like, ugh.
yeah, there was the odd impressive thing, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were happy to leave at the end, weren't you? You were
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's go.
So yeah, I think that, like you said, you're not necessarily going to enjoy it unless you're 4 women in the 40s who are on the front row lapping it up.
Yeah, they were having the right time.
They were.
They were having the right time.
I think it's funny that we also nearly ended up in a Russian strip club by accident when I was looking for food.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Well, it's called the Moulin Rouge, so I just thought it was going to be like dinner and a show, and well, I mean, that's exactly what it was, just a different kind of show.
Yeah, because we were chatting, because we were looking for food on. It's not. This was in Phuket. No, it was in Phuket.
Yeah, but Bangla Road.
Oh,
Like that,
Bangla
I think it's
Road,
called.
yeah. And we needed food. But it was funny because when you approached this woman who was outside it, asking about food, I'd already heard her say Russian strip club. but you hadn't heard it. So you're proper like eyeballing and I just found that whole, like the next 2 minutes really funny.
With a woman who was quite clearly a Russian stripper.
Yeah,
she was quite clearly a
knocked
Russian
the part,
stripper.
yeah. So I thought that was comical because for 2 minutes I got to watch you like go, yes, but where is your food? Like,
What's
is
your
food
vegan options?
Yeah, and she was like, oh, well, we have chips and cocktails. And we're like, oh, do you not have any more? And it was just so funny because...
Buy one lap dance, get a free bucket of wings.
Yeah. And this woman was like, oh, cool, they're happy to come here. Like, you know, they were really non-judgmental, which I really appreciate. But then when she found you, oh, and just sort of scurried
Well,
away.
you just sort of whispered to me it's a Russian strip club, and I went to her, is it a Russian strip club? And she just nodded.
I was like, oh, okay, we'll move on.
Like, oh, I'm very sorry. I think it amused her.
Yeah, it probably did, actually, yeah. That was funny.
It was funny.
But Phuket's a fun place. In Thailand, so we went Bangkok and Phuket. You know, we discussed this actually earlier today. You know, I can get wanting to go to Bangkok because it's bloody Bangkok. You know, do it, totally get that. But if you're looking for, you know, go get wasted, then, you know, have fun. But if you're not just looking for that, you know, bit of culture, see some really cool temples and stuff, you can, I would say, have a few days in Bangkok. But I would definitely recommend spending more time going down to like Phuket or, you know, anywhere in and around Phuket. It's so much more fun because you have both the coast, but you just have so much more to do. There's just so many things you can do. You know, there's theme parks. There's obviously, you know, if you're comfortable with this, there's animal interactions like elephants and, you know, zoos. There's obviously the beach. There's a ton of water sports, which you don't find on every beach, as it's all to do with the weather and the wind. So you can go parasailing, jet skiing, all of that is super fun. The people on the beach will be bringing you cocktails all day long for cheap.
And start a war.
Yeah, that's a bit awkward. Because when you go and sit down in the beach, and it's 100... what was the 100 baht for a chair, which is like
nothing.
It's like, I think it's £1 or something, even less than that, isn't it?
I can't remember.
It's like a couple of quid for a whole day on a bed. So it's nothing, and the drinks are cheap as well. But the war piece Shelby's on about, well, we started one, didn't we? But again, it's always you can't not, because there's loads of people trying to sell you stuff, so they try to build a bond with you. And if you don't choose them, when you finally do want something, they get annoyed. Well, they don't get annoyed, but they sort of
tell you off.
They sort of make you feel bad in a jokey way, but that you can tell.
I don't think she was joking. Like, so there's like one, I don't know, she's 47 or whatever. Like, they've all got like a vest on. It's like Ivy's vest, but not Ivy's. And each one's got a number on. But like, they don't have sections, which I thought was strange. Like, you think that each of them would have a section, but then I suppose like if people all stay in one section, then that wouldn't be fair. I don't know. I don't know how they work out their system. But basically, any one of these women could come and take your order wherever you were. But like, yeah, there's 47 who just so happened to be the first woman that saw us, and she was like, order from me when you want to drink 47, and like pointed to a number so that we'd remember it. But then I think it was 33 who ended up being there when we wanted a drink. So like, I mean, like, what are you going to do? Like, wait and seek out someone who's like half a mile down the beach? No.
Exactly.
So we ordered the drinks, and then 47 came over and was like, oh no, 47, like pointing at her. Like, all right, guilt trip, sorry.
Yeah, and it just makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. I'd say that's the one uncomfortable thing, but again, you can't get away with that. You know, if you're going to any country, any hot spots, you know, it's not specific to Asia, you know, go South America, go, you know, anywhere where it's hot spots for tourists, you're always going to get people selling you stuff. So that, I wouldn't say that's a Phuket thing. It's an annoying thing, but it's just it's part and parcel of going to places where there's people that have less money and there's lots of tourists. They're going to try to sell you stuff. Can get on your tits a bit, but it's just part and parcel of it. One tip though, the difference with Thailand I did notice versus Europe, you can just ignore them, in Thailand, it's better to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't acknowledge them, they just stand there until you acknowledge them.
Yeah.
So they want to get confirmation that you don't want the thing like this. They'll leave you if you say I don't want it. They will leave you straight away. They don't bug you. But yeah, I've learned that because I usually just ignore, but they'll just stand there until you acknowledge them.
Yeah, because like in Spain,
Yeah.
even if you say no thank you, they will just stand there. But in Thailand, if you say no thank you, they will just leave you be.
Yeah, they'll move on straight.
Yeah.
So that's a nice thing. They will move on straight away. They won't pester you. You know, so that's nice. Yeah, and Phuket is just great. The heat's great.
It was lovely. Like, I've still not done a review for that hotel, but the hotel we stayed in was nice.
Yeah, Patong Hotel.
Neon Patong.
Neon Patong.
Yeah.
If you like smoking marijuana, it is legal in Thailand.
It is legal in Thailand, and there were plenty of people smoking marijuana on the roof of the pool.
Yeah. So usually in resident places and like hotels and that, you cannot smoke marijuana. You can only smoke them specifically in smoke shops, which is the rule. But you can smoke them in your home, we learned. But in some places you can smoke it in the hotel. So that was quite interesting, because we realised this because it had a very strong, like, it was very clear whenever we stayed there, no smoking.
Oh yeah.
And they had like, it was hilarious because they had a fire. I must say, it was like a prison, because the first place we stayed in Bangkok, they had a fire alarm they had 2 fire alarms in a small Airbnb, one room, 2 fire alarms, because our bedroom was like closed off by another sort
It's like a glass dome, not dome, glass box that the bed was in.
So that was funny. And I realised the extractor fan in the bathroom, the extraction went out into the hallway.
Yeah.
And what I also noticed is that it had this little LED sort of light outside everyone's door, like a thing like that, an LED light. I'm convinced that if a fire alarm went off, it would put the light on for the room that said it.
Oh really?
I'm convinced that because it had next to the smoke alarm like a thing that would emit like an LED red light.
Interesting.
I reckon if the fire alarm, they would just look around and they go, oh, it was this room, let's inspect.
Maybe.
I think it was, which is a good safety thing, but I also think they were just super on the marijuana smoking.
Well, there you go. But it's so bizarre because, I mean, the history of Thailand and drug laws to now legalise marijuana is just bonkers, isn't it? It's like night and day between the mentalities. Like, to go from you're getting banged up for the rest of your life to, hey, you can buy it every 5 metres. Scott's not listening to me again.
Oh, I am listening, I'm just prepping.
That's okay. But we got speaking to one guy.
That was
I find it really interesting, but he... So what was the thing? You'll remember it better than me.
Well, this guy's smoked marijuana outside of, when it was illegal, and he got caught with just not a big amount, just personal use amount, and he got sent to a military camp for 6 months.
Shaved his head.
Yeah, shaved his head, and basically they just beasted him for 6 months. And having been around, in the TA, been around the sort of people who lead that, they can be scary.
Yeah.
They can be scary. 6 months going from your life to that.
And I reckon Thailand's going to be even more brutal.
Yeah, I reckon they're going to have less fuck, so it'll shock the shit out of you. And yeah, I could see that working. Yeah, poor lad. But now he has his own weed company.
Yeah.
And he sells marijuana legally, so it's kind of a funny thing.
Kind of an FU to the government.
Yeah. And it opens a conversation in America, right? All the people who got done for, in the past, having, marijuana, personal use, with it being legal in so many states now, there's that whole argument, should people stay locked up if they're, the law in which they broke is now legal in which the state they broke it. I don't know. It's an interesting argument.
It is very interesting. And I really don't know where I stand on it either. Because I suppose if it was illegal when you did it, then you did break the law. Whether it's a dumb law or not, like whether you disagree with it and that law is later overturned. Because then, like, I mean, you could, to go a bit deeper, like we could say about abortion laws, like if there's a lot of state, when that Roe vs. Wade got overturned, there'll be a lot of states now that have decreased the amount, or maybe even totally eliminated the time period in which a woman could legally get an abortion. So if that state, it's now illegal and you had an abortion, a couple of years ago and it was legal, should you then be penalised for it or not? No, obviously is the answer to that, but you shouldn't be penalised for it anyway. Should just be legal. But in terms of someone breaking the law, going to prison for it, and then I suppose it depends on the law, doesn't it? In this particular instance, talking about marijuana, and then I think, totally they should be free. But then,
is it fair to approach it differently with different laws?
Well, Kant would say no.
Is that a philosopher?
He is, yes, the German philosopher. He came up with the categorical imperative, which is that you should act only in accordance with the maxim that at the same time you will it be universal law, which is a fancy pants way of saying like be consistent with your beliefs. Like if you wouldn't rob something, like if you think that nobody should rob anything, then it should be that should be the case all the time. Like if you wouldn't kill someone, then you should also think that nobody should kill someone. Like, should marijuana always be legal? Or you can't say that it should be in some cases and not in others. It either is or it isn't. It's very black and white. Like, it should be a universal law.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Because not a lot of things in life isn't black and white. It's very easy to, in my head, I like to look at things like that because then it's very easy to cross it off, or So I find I think it's much easier to approach life like that, but life isn't that straightforward, and there are situations where it's really not black and white, and it's then you got to really put the time into figuring out where you lie. But in regards to, I think it's interesting. I think initially I was like, yeah, let them out, no question. But when you said to me, yeah, but they broke a law, in that point they broke a law. So whether it's legal or not, at the end of the day, they went against the law. So that kind of makes me think maybe they shouldn't. And it's hard for me to say that because I personally, for marijuana, I think it's very silly for people to go to prison for any marijuana, possession of it, if you're involved in some criminal organisations that's causing other havoc, on people's lives, and it's a different thing. But if especially just possession for yourself, I personally don't see that as a big deal that should go into prison. But I kind of lean into logic, and I feel like I'm feeling it's more logical to assess it in the way, yes, it is legal now, but when you did it, it was not. Therefore, I'm sort of leaning more towards that.
We see, I feel like the struggle comes in between the conflict of legality and morality, because theoretically, that's a lot of illies, but theoretically the law should be consistent with morality, like what's right with morals and ethically speaking. Like it's illegal to kill because it's morally wrong to kill. It's illegal to go above the speed limit because it's dangerous to do so, and doing so could harm others, which is morally wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of times the law is based off of morals, or you'd hope, like you shouldn't steal because it's morally wrong to do that to someone else. You shouldn't hit someone because it's morally wrong to do so. Whereas in that particular instance, like there are a lot of laws that are not moral, and many other countries where things like being gay is illegal, that's not consistent with morality, or at least for our perspective of morality. I know you can't speak for it, but objectively speaking, can you be objective about morality? I don't know.
Well, surely everyone's morality is different now.
Yeah, but that's what I sort of wonder. I believe that there are objective moral truths, such as killing is wrong. You know, it's wrong to kill someone else. Like, I can understand that there are situations in which it is necessary, and I wouldn't say whether or not I agree with them. But, for example, to save yourself to kill someone else, if they were trying to kill you, for example, I would say that isn't immoral to kill someone who's trying to kill you, if that's the only way that you can necessarily get out of it.
Right.
But you'd still go down for manslaughter.
You would, yeah.
And I don't think that that's necessarily correct.
Yeah, so we're showing here that morality can be challenged.
Yeah, morality can be challenged, and also the law. So, yeah, in terms of things like someone going to prison for marijuana possession, they haven't done anything immoral in that case. So, you know, why should they be punished for doing something? What I have an issue with is the laws that are there that aren't consistent with morality.
Gotcha.
Gotcha,
because
that's the crux of it, I think.
Yeah, I guess, what is that really? What morals is that going against? Or is that... I mean, sure, it's your choice if you want to pollute, you know, what people would say is you're polluting your body, but like, what?
Well, so is alcohol.
So is alcohol, yeah.
And also, I think weed's a lot better for you than alcohol, from my limited understanding of it.
Yeah, it's, you know, it has a lot of benefits, marijuana, and I think...
Well, it's been approved for medical use in multiple countries. So alcohol hasn't. Never.
Alcohol.
Nobody's saying alcohol is good for you. Not a single person.
No, marijuana actually does have a lot of great properties. I mean, you see it in the extract of CBD oil.
Yeah.
You know that, and all the different medical ones. Yeah, no, you know, there's so much great we can get out of it.
Yeah. So I think if you bring it back to that and say, should someone who broke the law for marijuana possession, which in a place that it's now legal, well, first of all, in my opinion, they should have never gone to prison, because that law isn't based on morality, and I don't think that law should exist. Like things like, is it Class A drugs, like heroin and stuff, where it's with significant harm to yourself and potentially others, in the, you know, the fact that people are, you know, medical team maybe, I don't know enough about heroin really to comment on it, but that'd be a different conversation. But marijuana that is legal in multiple countries, multiple places, is used for medical benefits. Morally speaking, what's wrong about it? You know, it's purely because there's a law in place to stop people from doing it, but what's that law based upon? Not a lot. So that's why I would say that, yes, anyone who is, for one, they shouldn't have gone to prison in the first place, and two, they should be free.
So, to keep it consistent, what was the German philosopher called again?
Kant.
Kant. To keep it consistent, would you not apply that to Class A drugs as well?
Well, yeah, I see that because there is significant harm to yourself. I don't know. You know, what I'm saying is with weed, there's proven health benefits to it, and there might be stuff arguing against it, but, you know, it's legal in many countries. It's used for medical reasons, whereas the Class A's aren't. I don't know, to be honest, but maybe that would be the consistent thing.
But even, like, again, this is a black and white view, but I mean, it's kind of like, you know, the law there seems like it's more like it's a parental law, you know. It's a bad thing, so don't touch it. But I mean, you know, that's, when you get into parental laws, I don't know if that's fair, because, you know, if you've, you know, gonna make the decision to do heroin, you know, cocaine, marijuana, whatever, then surely, you know, that's your decision. You know, why should we have a law against that? Because, you know, you can take that, you know, it might ruin your life, you know, that's down to you. You know, I feel like we have to as individuals take responsibility for ourselves. Yeah, there are people who are not of a mental ability to do that, but again, you can't then just apply that rule to everyone. They have to have specific support and people around them that would support them. So I don't know, I'm starting to think, is it moral to have all drugs illegal? Surely they should be all legal, you know. It feels more of a parental law like that, but like,
Yeah.
you know, think about the amount of other highs that are in, you know, like the Amazon rainforest that, you know, these countries just have never heard of, but, you know, you could, you know, like toad, licking a toad.
Yeah.
I don't think that's illegal.
Cambo, I think that's called.
Cambo, so,
Yeah.
you know, you'd be off your face if you did that. You know, why?
Licking a frog.
You know, yeah, but like, why isn't that illegal? And if it is illegal, there's going to be many more, you know. So I just don't really get it, because there'll be other plants, you know, in these forests that will have similar effects, you know, to these Class A drugs. Why haven't we made all them illegal? You know, I don't know. And the war on drugs, it's been proven multiple times that it's, with respect to anyone who's doing it, it's just a pointless war. Because, I mean, really one that... why I say this, by the way, is I'll always remember this really interesting book that I read. And this guy that went undercover pretty much for his whole career. Really, really interesting. Really interesting story. But anyway, he went undercover and got really deep into the crime of drugs. And he did get some seriously bad people locked up, which is good. You know, they were involved in drugs, but they were involved in some other really bad stuff. You know, really like harming a lot of people. But anyway, he put like 20 years into this. And all the work he did, and he brought down a massive criminal organisation, like one of the biggest busts in the UK. And when he looks back at this, that's 20 years of dedicated work. The impact that he had on the drugs trade lasted for 1 hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
20 years, it lasted for 1 hour, and then it would have all got filled in with new people and what, you know. So it just shows you that as locking up all these people, you know, we're putting so much money, so much, you know, and we're putting people at risk. You know, it's these people who are high up in these drug, you know, gangs. They're serious people. They don't mess about. They, you know, they fuck us up. So you know, the people putting, you know, who have the balls to go on the front line and be the police who do this, and you know, the different departments that deal with this. They're, you know, we're risking their lives. And why should we be risking their lives if it's not making any difference? And that's obviously going to be a very heated thing to say to the people who do it, because I totally get that it is making a difference to people. I'm not saying it's making zero difference, but the impact that you could be having putting all that attention elsewhere will make a bigger difference.
Yeah.
So, and that elsewhere for me would be, you know, diving into, you know, why are we attacking these people, you know, how can, you know, I mean, the easiest one is legalising the thing, which I appreciate. People in law and police, they don't have that authority to do that. None of us do.
Yeah.
So I can respect, you know, I'm not going to hate on someone who's still doing that, because at the end of the day, they want to do good, and in a lot of ways they are doing a lot of good.
Yeah. Like
but it's just a shame, I think. It's a lot of risk and a lot of money and a lot of time for not a great lot of difference.
Yeah, it might be like more a better use of time and resources into things like rehabilitation centres.
Even in Switzerland, they're rehabilitating them with drugs. So they're coming in and they're saying, yeah, okay, you can have heroin, but you just need to come to us and we'll give you it. And they do that. They give them heroin.
And like wean them off it.
And they wean them off it, yeah. And they come, but in conjunction with that, they counsel them, and obviously they'll give them set amounts, but they can come in and get
That's
whatever
incredible.
drugs. And they found from it that actually they managed to wean off a lot more people because they're seeing them daily. They're being able to speak to them, and they've weaned off a lot of people off the drugs. So I love that because they're just facing it head on.
Yeah.
They're not trying to say you're bad, you should be locked up, or tell me more about what you know, or you're scum. They're just saying head on, you do this. Keep what Let me understand why you do this. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to tell you you're a dick. I just want to be around you when you're doing it. I want to be part of the process. I just want to understand you more. I want to see how you feel. Why is this happening? I want to help you. I don't want to just say, no, go on the naughty step.
Yeah.
And sit there for 10 years and you think about what you've done. Because it just fucks people up.
Well, yeah, and the first thing you do when you come out is probably going to want to go back to what it was before, so...
Yeah. So, anyway, we're not going to figure out the world's problems on our podcast, but...
Well, we can try.
We can try.
We've gone a little bit over.
We have gone a little bit over, so we need to call it.
We do, but I think it was a good episode.
It was. And...
Well,
good episode. We went all around the world, didn't we?
we did indeed. So, thank you everyone for listening. We would like to thank you for taking a break from your day to go balls deep with us. So until next time, remember,
Stay ballsy.
dive deep, but
But don't forget your snorkel.
Balls deep.